The Forest Minister and his opposition critic took the stage at the Foresters AGM this morning. Recent legislation was introduced this week, potentially affecting land use policy.
It's touted as one of the biggest resources there is in BC. A recent midterm timber supply review was completed this summer, and earlier this week legislation was introduced to act on one of those recommendations, moving from a volume-based timber supply system to an area-based system. Under the current volume-based system, a licensee is allowed to harvest a certain amount of timber within a set area, but is not restricted as to where within that block the logs are taken. With an area-based system, a licensee is allowed to harvest in one area and one area alone.
As the Midterm Timber Supply Committee clearly heard recommendations to increase the diversity of area-based tenures. People recognize the benefits of more intensive management, more to forest health and forest management, and the fact that if you're able to have the security of that investment, you make that additional investment in the future.
But industry feels while licensees will better maintain their block, they are subject to the whims of Mother Nature.
If I was to look around Prince George, if you'd had an area-based tenure that was in a large expanse of mature pine, all of the trees would have died, and you would have nothing left to harvest. So your AAC, your annual cut levels, would go from wherever they were and diminish rapidly. So you could lose a lot with an area-based tenure in that type of catastrophic event.
Another issue, an area-based system suggests a form of ownership.
You have trappers, you have guides, you have First Nations who have interests, you have communities who have interests. So typically these types of processes will take a lot of consideration. The criteria, from my understanding, that's been put out there in the enabling legislation means advancing the public good from doing so. So that's going to take a fair bit of thought.
The NDP forest critic Norm MacDonald was a member of the Midterm Timber Supply Committee. He agrees with the premise of an area-based timber system, but he says the legislation is not quite true to what was recommended.
We're going to get a technical briefing next week from the ministry. We're going to look at what is proposed. As I say, on the face of it, it doesn't match the care that I think we put into the recommendations. We said really clearly that and the language was exactly walk before you run.
As part of the process, public consultation on the legislation will take place this summer. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.